Tasnim news agency says that missile operation called Annunciation of Victory has been launched against U.S. bases in Qatar and in Iraq. Now, as I said, a number of countries in the region are on high alert. Bahrain has urged its citizens and residents to use main roads only when necessary in light of recent developments and regional security conditions. That's according to the Interior Ministry of Bahrain. And we also understand the White House and the Department of Defense are aware, and they say they're closely monitoring the potential threats to Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. But you were just looking at those images of those missiles being launched over the skies of Qatar. Let's bring in our Mark Stone, who's watching these developments. And Mark, we understand the White House, the Department of Defense are fully aware, and they're closely monitoring these strikes that have been launched against U.S. bases in both Qatar and Iraq.
Not only that, we understand now from White House officials that the Defense Secretary and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs are in the Situation Room, presumably with the President himself. There was due to be a meeting of the National Security Council in the Situation Room. Now it's just gone 1 p.m. here in Washington, D.C. So I imagine not only are they looking at similar images to the ones we're seeing here from the early evening skies above Doha, but they will have a much clearer sense of the impact, if any, at the Al Udeid Air Base, which is just to the southwest of the Qatari capital, Doha. It's about a 20-minute, 30-minute drive to the southwest of the city itself. It is a massive US air base. And it is home not only to American troops, but to troops from a broad alliance of different countries. And of course, Qatari troops are based there as well. So the question, as you've been outlining, is the extent to which any of these missiles may have got through, and if they have, what damage they have caused. This is a moment of high jeopardy, because if those missiles do get through, if they cause death or injury to Americans or other Western troops, then that is precisely how this conflict changes, morphs yet again. Mission creep comes from miscalculation and unforeseen consequences. So a very dangerous moment right now, and it's not just in Doha, but we understand. Well, certainly there are reports of US air bases being targeted in Iraq as well. There is a large US air base just to the south of Baghdad. It's called Al-Assad. And interestingly, it is the same base that was attacked 6 years ago, back in 2020, after Donald Trump assassinated Qasem Soleimani, the commander of the Quds Force of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the most senior Iranian general. He was assassinated by Donald Trump. Everyone held their breath, waiting to see what would happen. The Iranians chose almost a token response. They needed to be seen to respond then, and so they did, but they did not kill any Americans. What will happen this time? Is it the case, as your sources are suggesting, that this is somehow coordinated? The Iranians won't get to lose face, but nobody is killed, and therefore the conflict doesn't spiral again? Or will there be a miscalculation? We will see in I guess, maybe even the minutes ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also getting reports now that the airspace over the United Arab Emirates is now closed as well. We understand that Bahrain is on high alert as well. They've urged their citizens and residents to use main roads only when necessary in light of recent developments and regional security conditions. And we just want to remind our audience what Iran's Tasnim news agency says. They say that the missile operation called Annunciation of Victory was launched against US bases in Iraq and Qatar, but we're also hearing now the UAE has closed its air bases. And Mark, as you say, I mean, while contacts I've been speaking to say this was potentially coordinated, is what they're indicating, that they had prior knowledge that this was going to happen, because, as you say, The Iranians want to show that they have done something, and perhaps this might draw a line in the sand. But with these things, the risk is always high. There is always so much jeopardy. And while, the United States, its interceptors have swung into action, this is still a situation where one bit of miscalculation can certainly lead to some kind of escalation. So we'll have to watch these developments very closely. But also what I'm just being told right now, again, Reuters is reporting that President Trump is currently in the Situation Room with his Defense Secretary and Joint Chiefs Chairman. So we are, Donald Trump is monitoring the situation. And also a bit more news coming in from Bahrain. There are sirens that have sounded, and citizens and residents have been urged to remain calm and head to the nearest safe place. So this clearly seems like a coordinated attack on U.S. bases across the region, as promised by the Iranians, Mark. And they're calling this Operation Annunciation of Victory.
Yeah, and they have chosen geographically easy targets that are close to them. I mean, you can see on a map just over the Persian Gulf is Qatar, just north of that, Kuwait, Bahrain just to the south, and Dubai, United Arab Emirates as well. All of these countries, and I'm looking at Plane Finder now, you can see that planes are moving out of all of those countries or not taking off as a result of this closure of the airspace. And then further to the north, Iraq and the Al-Assad air base there, which we understand has been targeted as well. But it is also the case that the Americans and the Gulf Arab nations were ready for this, were expecting that this retaliation would come, and will have, to the extent that they can, they will have they will be preparing to defend against this. So what you're looking at there above the skies of Doha in Qatar is similar to what we have seen above the skies of Israel for days now. The similar systems, similar anti-missile systems are now kicking into action. Some of them may have been put in place recently in preparation for this. I don't know, but I imagine that these missiles were not targeting Doha itself, but targeting the airbase which is to the southwest of Doha. But of course, if you're looking up at the skies, the interceptions would happen. They may look like they're over the city itself, but they are probably not. Nevertheless, as you say, a moment of real concern as all this progresses. Donald Trump is in the Situation Room in the West Wing now, alongside his top team, and they will be monitoring this as we are.
Mark, I've just got some more lines coming in. This one from Al Jazeera, and they're citing Qatar's defense minister saying that Qatar air defenses intercepted a missile attack on U.S. military base Al Udeid. So those images that we're looking at show the interceptors doing what they're meant to be doing. And from what we understand, this was a coordinated attack on a series of air bases. I'm also being told that air raid sirens are now blaring over Kuwait as well. So Bahrain, Kuwait, the UAE has closed its air space, and we understand that Iraq was hit as well, the air base, as you say, in Iraq. Reuters is reporting that Qatar has condemned the Iranian attack on the U.S. military base in Qatar. And I guess for the Qataris, whilst Iran is saying this fight is against the United States, Qatar and Iran, Mark, share close ties. They share a relationship. They do have good diplomatic relationship. So for Qatar to condemn the Iranians for this attack, I guess they're in this precarious situation because, of course, they don't want to see these missiles launched over their skies, and for a place like Qatar to be destabilized. And at the same time, they've got to balance these relationships. But from what we understand, Qatar has condemned the attacks. They've also said, this is Qatar saying, it reserves its right to respond after the Iranian attack. So this language is slightly escalating the situation, where Qatar has said it reserves its right to respond after the Iranian attack. Qatar also has said no casualties from the attack on the US military base.